Hey there, it's Karen Wright, your local Wichita real estate agent. So today I want to go over the National Association of Real Estate, NAR Association, their forecast. They did a forecast yesterday, so it was on that presentation, kind of wanted to get it out and walk through also comparisons with Wichita on this. So yes, it's going to be a national slideshow that I'm going to go over just to kind of keep you up to date with everything that's happening in the market and what's being forecast out there. And I'll go through and list where I can the Wichita numbers, just to keep everybody updated with the national, what we think is going to happen or what the Economist thinks is going to happen, and then related to how Wichita has been going. So with that, let me pull up the slide. This is and let me pull back a second. So this was what I was watching yesterday, the real estate forecast. As you can see, it was December 13th. And Lawrence Yoon is the one I always talk about. He's the Senior Vice President for Research, and he's the one that gives us up to date on all the National Association of Realtor economic information and forecasting. So, and then we have a different one in Wichita, Stan Longhofer, that does the Wichita State University research information. So I go over his stuff on other videos as well. So, but this, we're looking at national, and I've got the numbers in front of me for November. I'll be doing that video shortly in the next couple days. So, and to go more in depth with Wichita numbers, but let's start here with the national. So this is what they're saying. That's down 16%, and we are in Wichita down 12%, and that's year to date to November. So he's saying down 16% in 2022 from the national, and the lowest since 2014. You can see here where the red circle is. That was during the crash of the 08, 9, 10. And on a funny note, I was doing some comps on a house going to be putting an offer in, and you could see it expired several times, and it was listed in 2010. So again, that market was pretty tough, and the price dropped incredibly in order to sell the house, which it's a house I'm about to put an offer on for clients of mine. So then you could see it kind of rebounded, came up, and of course the last couple of years just went higher, and came down in 2022, which basically has been more of a supply-demand issue. Obviously the last month or two and three, it's been more of a mortgage rate increase has brought the buyers kind of to a standstill, almost it feels like. And when I'm comparing Wichita to the national, I just want to keep in mind that Wichita does not fluctuate like the big cities. So it's a lot more steady than the stuff you're seeing. So if you're even looking at buying in Wichita, talk to a real estate agent that knows the market, that follows the market in depth. Because if you're listening to all the national news, which most YouTube and Instagram forecasts are talking about, since most people live in the big cities, the majority of that is, and for example, as we're going to see later on, like San Francisco is going to have a huge decline this year, loss in prices about 15% as we get to that. But that's what I just always want to keep in mind. Wichita does not fluctuate. It's more of a steady, it still falls a little bit, but much, goes down a little bit or up a little bit. And you never see the huge spikes or decreases. So with that said, let's get to the next one. Existing homes. So check out this red line. We have seen that. This is just the last couple months since, January, April, here's July and October. And man, the last couple of months, we've just really seen really almost a stopping. I mean, just as far as home sales. But it's definitely declined. And then let's see here, let's go back to COVID. Obviously, we know what happened in COVID. So down and then picked back up extremely well through 2021. So people that have bought in the last several years have done well. Tons of equity out there. Kind of dipped a little bit 21, so about a year ago, summerish. Then started coming back up through the end of the year, then dropped a little bit. What month is that? It's probably December. But check this out. So we peaked again in January and surprisingly just, kept coming down and down. So that's kind of what we're seeing. And of course, we're definitely seeing it go down. So here's a sales percentage change from a year ago. So we're looking at pre-COVID. And a lot of the stuff Lawrence Yoon talked about in his presentation was, they brought up a bunch of speakers. They were talking about the pre-COVID, as, hey, this is kind of normal. And then you had the COVID, everything stopped, and then so it came back on strong just because people were tired of being in their homes, and then came back down a little bit, and then just peaked really, of course, there's the other stuff of the really low interest rates at that time. And right now we're at a shortage. So we're definitely seeing that. So let's go over here where we're talking about the high mortgage rates. Oh, and he's calling it the COVID real estate boom. Everybody tired of being locked down. Some were getting second homes, really rich, of course, but the COVID real estate boom is what happened. And then now with the inflation and the high mortgage rates, we're seeing the down. Lot fewer sales going on now. So annual new home sales, we are down 17%. I was trying to find Wichita here quickly, but in 2022, and again, they're comparing it to the pre-COVID levels, whereas here's 2020. Of course, it hit the high in 2020, then maybe slightly down in 2021. But yeah, we're definitely seeing the downturn. Not as bad yet as the 08, 9, 10, and they're predicting we're not going to see that. So, but again, going down right now. Long-term single-family housing starts. So this is when they're talking about construction. And what they're trying to say, it kind of goes up and down, but then they had this huge long gap of 10 years of where they weren't constructing. So that's what they're talking about, the supply issue that we have right now. Just not enough homes are built, and so very limited in the supply of new homes. So they're trying to kick that back in a year. You see it popping up a little bit, but then right now with the interest rates and the slowdown of buyers, it's going to be interesting to kind of watch to see what happens over the next while. U.S. median home price. So this is, of course, the great graph. So we're going back 22 years here. So we're looking at 2000. So yeah, the median home price back then, shocking, especially because I was in California at that time, but $150,000 was the median, to up to a whopping $400,000. So you bought during that time, you've made some good money, some great equity. And so that kind of shows the median home price. Then the next two slides, we're going to talk about some ridiculously great housing cities. And they kind of talked about what's going to be the next Austin. And then, of course, the next slide, we'll get to the next one. But yeah, this one was, about 150, where the last slide went up to the median 400. This one went up to a whopping 600,000. Look at that huge equity gain. So really, yeah, and I keep looking at like anyone that bought in the last 5 years, 3 years. I mean, you just made some huge profits. Not typical. We always say, house sales, that's the long-term money, net worth building. It's usually not, but yeah, if you did buy it in the last so many years, you've done quite well for yourself. But yeah, here in Austin, 150,000 to 600,000. And of course, now it's dropping like the rest of the market. And at the end, we'll talk about the top 10 cities that they're looking at. So here's the other one, Salt Lake City. Median home price is also at the 600. So again, 150 back in 2000. And so if you sold it at the peak there, 600,000, I mean, just a whopping gains. So now, house price crashing, is it coming? We see all the clickbait and everybody gets great views on it from the negative YouTube videos and thumbnails and stuff like that. But here's the data behind what they're saying. So let's look at the last housing cycle versus now. Job cuts, 8 million, tons of job cuts, very bad situation. Current housing cycle, none, no job cuts. And then they're looking at the W-2 jobs in the house, and then household surveys, just two different ways they look at jobs. So there was basically a gain of 20 million in both regards, 23 million for increase of W-2 salary jobs, and then 38 for 20 million is when they asked the households about jobs, 20 million increase. So again, looking good. Subprime loans back then were hugely prevalent. The no income, hey, just show us your documentation, we'll give you a mortgage. Where once the mortgage criteria got very strict, and we basically have virtually none of the subprime loans in this market. 5-year cumulative to new home construction before the crash. So they were building a lot of homes, 7.65 million, and now only 4.6 million, which is leading to the supply demand issue. And here, the next one that talks about that too, the inventory on market, it was about 3.8 to 4 million, so a lot of inventory. And now it's only 1 to 1.2 million of inventory. So again, that's why we're having all the multiple offers of last year, because there's just not enough homes on the market. And then we saw on that a couple graphs ago that, for a 10-year gap, they weren't building new homes, or not to the level that they have previously done. So they're trying to make up for that. We've got, I'm going to do another video coming soon with, and I've talked in the past about the forecast for Wichita, where all the permits were up to 1,500 permits, just a huge increase over the last couple of years. So they are, as far as in Wichita, building like crazy to an extent. Mortgage delinquency back at the last housing cycle was 10%. Mortgage delinquency is very low at 3.6%. And then this next one, which is the homes in foreclosure, back then was 4.6% and look 0.6. I mean, I get asked this question, of course, because everybody wants to get that great deal on a house. And it's like, well, what about this foreclosure? And it's like, well, there virtually aren't any foreclosures on the market right now. And if so, the hardcore investors are looking at those, but yeah, just very few. Mortgage delinquency, so if they've gone 90 days or more, look at hugely during that crash of 08, 09, imploding mortgages, as we're saying it. And then, of course, it went back down to few. Then COVID lockdown kicked it up, and we're back on track for, not, like I was saying, not a ton of foreclosures, and so not a lot of mortgage delinquency here, and that's 2022. That looks like Q1. They've got this graph going to distressed home sales. This, of course, just shows the same thing. Tons back in the crash, and then after the height of the crash, went back down to, just because of the mortgage lending, pulled the reins in, just allowed so many fewer, high criteria in order to get a mortgage. So fewer mortgages went out there. None of the subprime lending that was done with no assets and, hey, let's give everybody money. That stopped, of course, with the last housing crisis. So yeah, very few distressed homes. Housing asset and mortgage debt. So the blue line is just the price increase, and the mortgage debt is the orange. So as you can see, a lot of people have tons of equity in their homes, and it's just kind of built, got tighter here in 12. And it's just kind of skyrocketed with the pricing increase of the last many years. So again, the market's really healthy, lots of equity out there. So mid-December, going to show you the market condition. I'll try to throw some Wichita numbers out along with this. So median sale price for us up 4.8%. Where's our median sale price? It's up 5.3%, and this is as I'm giving the November. Home solds are down 34%, and ours is down 31% in Wichita. New contracts is down 36%, and this is talking the December numbers. Ours is down from prior years 27% for contracts written. The sale to list price is at 95%. Wichita, basically every month I've always been reading 100%. So basically going at list price. Of course, in the summer we were going 100.1, 2, and 0.3. It was because multiple offers were going, a good deal over the asking list price due to the low inventory and plenty of buyers on the market. Median days on market, 24 days. And Wichita, our median days on market is at 6, I believe. Yeah, 6. Last month was 7. It actually got up to 7. So, of course, because we've been taking longer days on the market to sell the homes with the inflation, with the interest rates higher. And we're all this summer, and even last summer was in the 3 to 4 day period. Basically, things were selling right away in multiple offers. So yeah, median days on market for the nation is 24 days. So a lot more than here. Active listings, 38%. Yeah, what was I looking at here? I think I'm seeing 38% for us as well. And then new fresh listings is down 22%, and ours is down 18% from a prior year. Just to tell you, Wichita numbers, 687 houses new listings came on the market, where a year ago 841. It just shows you, yeah, listings have way down. So that kind of shows a little bit of both national and Wichita. All right, so here we've got some hopeful signs on mortgage rates, which of course is what all of us want to hear. So yeah, Lawrence Yun, he said that there's been 4 straight weeks of decline. I've been seeing that as well with what I've been reporting. 20 years, so it did hit over the 7. And so the good news is it's been declining. And so at this point, we're looking at under the 6.5, and we keep hearing it's hopefully going to continue down under the 6. So we'll see about that. And 30-year mortgages in the red, 10-year treasuries in the blue. He was talking about where they look at the spread and it's hit this peak. So he said that this is a good news, actually. They look at the spread, and it's according to, and I'm going to leave this to the expert economist, where they're believing from this information there's going to be a further decline in mortgage rates. So great news to hear. And then this slide helps out. Unemployment rate is back to normal. The unemployment rate, from the different presentations I've watched, to, in fact, it's from Lawrence Yun, from his one about a month ago or 2 months ago. He's saying the dichotomy of what's going on in the unemployment. It's like, even though the unemployment rate is back to normal, there's like 2 jobs for every 1 job. There's still plenty of jobs out there, but he does state, like, an architect's not going to go get a McDonald's job. So, but still, there's plenty of jobs out there. So, but yeah, unemployment rate is back to normal. So that's always great news for the economists to watch to predict the future of the housing market. Payroll jobs. So he's saying it's a record high, but below the trend. So it goes up, and then of course that's 2020. So complete loss, and then heading back up there, but he's saying it's still below what the trend typically is. These are just data points that the economists look at and when they're predicting the future of the housing industry, which is what we're trying to figure out here and give you the best idea of what's coming up next year. Here it just shows that some states are doing better than others. I think we're a little bit at the negative 0.5. So getting close to being back to where we were before COVID. The green states are all doing pretty well. The orange states, a little less well. But it's just kind of showing you where we're at right now. So, again, Kansas is, I think it says 0.5. It's a little small for me to read right now. And here's something that he talked about, this, talking about Georgia versus Michigan, a really interesting fact where Georgia's in the red, and it was like 1 million fewer jobs back in, 2000, and over this 22-year period, it's basically over Michigan by 100 or 1 million or something like that. I can't remember. He's saying, I think 1 million jobs more, whereas it was 1 million jobs lower 20 years ago. So that's just an interesting fact he was mentioning as far as long-term job performance. Anything can happen with the different states and what the future holds. And so these are just the economic data they look at to help predictions. Office vacancy rate, I've been hearing this for a while. And obviously it's kind of common sense when you look at COVID, took everybody home, and then they allow people to work from home, and it hasn't gone back to where every company has not forced their people back into the office. I know a previous job I had, like, they have to be in the office 3 days a week as far as the sales team, but basically 3 days, they can work 2 days from home. So they're kind of in a hybrid situation, which I know a lot of companies. So that's why they're looking at this office vacancy rate. Like, I'm hearing, like, what are they going to do with the offices that are just sitting? I mean, the building right next to me right now is just sitting. The one next over here burned down. If you're on Ridge Road, you'll see that one burned down. I don't know, several months ago, more than that probably. But they both been vacant. I'm not sure about that one, but this one's been vacant. I think Speedy Cash in our town, Tiger Financial was there, and they have not moved back in, including the above us, the floor above us. It's been vacant since before COVID, or since COVID as well. So yeah, just from looking around, you can see that. And so the data though, but this is the data stating that, and so they're talking about, hey, what's going to happen to all the commercial buildings, change them up, whether they turn them into residential situations or whatnot. So that's a talk, but like I said, it's been increasing. And here they're talking about the next Austin or Salt Lake City. Here's the top 10, and we'll go over that here shortly. They're going to show which of these could potentially be the next Austin or Salt Lake City, where you saw that huge appreciation up to the $600,000 median price, which started 20 years ago at the $150,000 median price. So here they are. Atlanta being number 1, 2, Raleigh, North Carolina, and then Dallas, Fort Worth, Fayetteville. I'm not sure if I'm saying these are Greenville, Charleston, South Carolina, a couple in South Carolina, Huntsville, Alabama, and then you got Florida, San Antonio, Texas, and Knoxville, Tennessee. So these are the ones to kind of keep an eye out. Looks like it, whether it's bringing in some good companies there, but increasing in job performance and whatnot could definitely help those housing prices in those markets. So I know nationally they're watching those 10. Mortgage rate forecast. Okay, so we know we peaked up here, Q4 at the 7%. And so the forecast looking next year is luckily down, slightly down, slightly down, slightly down. So it's looking like that as the year goes along, it's going to be getting better and better. So, buying a house, it's kind of back in the like sixes. It might go down to, what's that saying? I think under fives is kind of what I'd heard. And funny enough, I had bought my house, I think about 12-ish, 13 years ago at 5.5. Haven't refinanced. So it's just kind of more normal than this is more. We hope to see these numbers again down the future, the 2s and 3s. My only comment on that is that might keep some people in their homes if they have that great interest rate. They may not be wanting to list it, where maybe had they not had the great interest rate. So that's something to where it might keep a few people more in their homes than we'd want, because we kind of need the supply back because we still got the buyers. So anyways, but yeah, this is still nice to see that it should be tweaking down just a wee bit over next year and by the end of the year. Home sales forecast. So of course we came to not a halt, but completely down. We just read our sales numbers in our meeting. Was it last Tuesday, a week ago Tuesday? And I mean, there were so few, in comparison. So, but yeah, so it looks like that on another good note, it should be slightly increasing and going back up. So interest rates going back down a little bit. We already seeing housing increases. I mean, we're up, like I said, active listings from a year ago. We have 1,200-ish active listings in November. From a year ago, it was 885. So that's just great news to see, because that's what happened with all the multiple offers and came on board just with the lack of supply and huge demand. So again, looking decent for next year. No crashes, with all the clickbait YouTubers out there. Home price growth forecast. So home prices look like in Q1 they'll still go down. Q2 looks like it'll go really down. But then Q3 and 4 should start trickling back up. So we're, maybe the interest rates, being at the 7s kind of just stopped everybody. So, people hold on a little bit to see what the market's happening and what forecasting's happening. So it's all looking good from a forecasting standpoint. Q1, Q2, they're saying price growth should go down a little bit and then kicking back up. So again, looking at the long haul. And I believe this is the last slide. So again, here's the past in the blue and the forecast. And just because 22, this one's, we're almost there. We've got 2 more weeks. Today's the 14th that I'm doing this video. I'll probably release this tomorrow. So yeah, 2022 down 16%. We're at 12% in Wichita. But, home prices have been extraordinarily up. Total dollar volume is down. Next year, though, they're looking at a little less down, kind of flat with the home price, down a little bit in the dollar volume, total volume, and then forecasts for 24 is looking really good. So if you're looking to buy, that's the biggest question I get. If you're looking to buy, the forecast is looking decent, is what they're expecting. Obviously, we'll see what happens. They're looking at 2023 kind of being a recovery year, and then back to normal growth, and hopefully we get more listings on the books in that time frame. So there you have it. That is what Lawrence June, the National Association of Realtors brought out. They did this presentation December 13th, 2022. So if you have questions, I'll be doing the Wichita November numbers in the next couple of days to give more of a comparison. But on the whole, looks like it's trickling a little bit down, but mortgage rates are going in the right direction. Pricing will eventually get in the right direction, and just hopefully the listings continue to come on. I mean, during the next couple months, maybe a little slower just with the seasonality decline in that we're just getting recovery from seeing good mortgage rates come on board. So yeah, so Karen Wright, Berkshire Hathaway, give me a call with any questions you have on the national information we're finding, on the local, more detailed Wichita information. And thanks for watching. If you like these videos, subscribe, like it. I keep bringing out all things Wichita related on these and watching the market. So have a great day.